My name is Seth Pollock. Welcome to Programming Your Subconscious Mind for Wealth Creation and Intro to Crypto. Let me start with a couple of questions. So by raise of hands, and I love it if you can be on video. If not, that's all good too, but it's great to have that interaction. So first question is, how many of you would like to have started mentoring with millionaires at about, say, age 10? Anybody? Right, right.
Absolutely.
And how many of you also recognize that your current financial life may look entirely different if you had? Right? Right. So why do we know that? Why do we know that? Because we know that everything in life rises and falls on the level of our mindset. And so we live by a thermometer, if you will, in every area of our life. In our health, we have a thermometer. In our relationships with self and others, we have a thermometer. And with our finances, we have a thermometer. And it's all learned, everything based on wherever our thermometer is at in our life with any variable. We've learned it all from somewhere. The good news is it's also malleable by choice. So we can change where our thermometer is set in any area of our lives. So that's part of what we're going to get into today, are really practical daily exercises and rituals that you can enjoy and incorporate to move that thermometer and start to um, deliberately choose the level of your programming and the level of your results. Now, I happened to say a moment ago, how many of you would have liked to have started mentoring with millionaires at about age 10? However, when it comes to the subconscious mind, we know that between the times that we are age 0 in the womb and age 7, our entire subconscious mind is essentially trained. We're on 100% record mode between those years, and we're taking in everything without any critical thinking. We're literally just recording into our subconscious mind and living from that foundational place ever since. And there are aspects, and our subconscious mind is influenced after those ages, but our foundational thermostat, or our core belief systems, are set by that point in time. So that's a real huge key and indicator as to what results we have in our life in any area, and what did we learn by default really, really early in life, right? So in this webinar, we are going to cover a few different areas. Number one, what causes wealth creation? 2, heart brain coherence and visualization. We're going to do a little exercise there. 3, what I love to call the abundance gratitude walk. One of the most powerful practices I have ever used in my life to powerfully manifest results that were in alignment with my intentions. And 4, cryptocurrencies 2021. And then it's over for 3 to 4 more years. That'll make more sense as we get into where we're at in history and our involvement in the cryptocurrency world right now. So there are only 2 things that you can do to generate wealth. And very specifically, I choose the phrase, there are only 2 things that you can do, because the third one involves somebody having to die and you being at the top of their list in their will. So, you may be in that lucky lineup, possibly. And, but in terms of things that you can do, let's get an idea of our roadmap, where we're headed and where we have been, to take a look at what shifts we may want to make individually. So I'm going to screen share here. And
now, is this stocks and stuff or?
nope, right now we're just talking mindset.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because you said cryptocurrency. I'm just learning a little bit about it, not too much, but
yeah. So we're towards the end. We're going to have an introduction to cryptocurrency and some aspects to consider in terms of where we're at in this current bull market. If you're following cryptocurrencies, you're aware that we're in the middle of what will likely be the largest bull market that we may ever see in cryptocurrencies, and I'll talk a little bit more about what the circumstances are around that. But this, if you have ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki, raise your hand if you've heard of Robert Kiyosaki.
yeah,
He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Love it.
And he also wrote a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant, a little less well known, but one of the greatest contributions to financial education is his ability to let people know what the roadmap looks like and what level of participation we have either been in by default or, more importantly, where we can choose to move into. And so 95% of the population is in this upper left-hand quadrant where we're employees. We go to school, we get a good education so that we can grow up and get a good job. And our entire school system is literally designed to produce employees and produce people that are obedient and are essentially ready to work in a factory. And that is our entire school system is designed after the factory assembly line, literally. And so 95% of people spend all of their financial life in the employee quadrant, not realizing that they, number one, pay the very most in taxes and are limited completely to trading hours for dollars. And there's literally never, ever going to be more than 24 hours in a day. So obviously that income is dramatically limited. So moving down, self-employed, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or a plumber or any kind of self-employed, is only slightly different because you are still trading time for money. You're still trading hours for dollars. And so you own a job. So if you don't show up, the revenue stops. Okay. So the only two areas that wealth is ever created is being a quote unquote big business owner, where you own a system of some kind, people work for you. And this can be owning a franchise if you own a string of McDonald's or some kind of system where you don't have to show up. The people and the revenue is created and works whether you're there or not. And so you own a Target, you're the Sam Walton family of Walmart. You own some kind of huge system that's a cash cow generator, right? The fourth area of wealth creation is becoming an investor. And that is learning the skill set of our money working for us, our money working harder for us than we can work for money. Warren Buffett is famous for saying many things, including, we will either find a way to make money while we sleep, or we will spend the rest of our lives working for money. Right. And so learning to become an investor and the principles of having your money work for you is really the most pervasive and successful way of creating wealth. So understanding where we're at individually on the roadmap and where we might want to be in the very near future is such a huge component of the wealth creation mindset. So, as you assess your own life and what influences you've had in your life in terms of your participation in our economic system, here's what we have to choose from. And there's literally only two ways that we can actually build long-term wealth. So that is, let's see, let's unscreen share. Okay. So what are the circumstances around being able to generate the mindset and the shift in thinking that will enable us to move to the right side of that quadrant and generate different circumstances in our life to where we can be able to create wealth much more successfully? That's what we're going to get into in a little bit. So hopefully you've got a notepad handy or some kind of digital note-taking device. Please write down and post this statement in at least 2 different places in your home. The secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine. The secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine. There's a book called The Slight Edge that Jeff Olstein wrote. And it's one of the most phenomenal mindset training tools because it really reminds us that every decision we make every single day has a huge impact on our overall long-term results. Because if we make a decision one time, we're likely to do it over and over and over again. Jeff Olson, thank you. I've thought that last name's, yeah, Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge, thank you. Yep. And taking a look at what can sneak up on us in terms of a decade going by where we've made seemingly insignificant decisions over and over and over again that have ended up causing habits, lifestyle, principle, character, etc. Everything in our life can be traced back to these seemingly insignificant daily choices, right? So anyone ever listened to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale? Anyone familiar with The Strangest Secret? So one of the pieces of homework that I have for you is please go to YouTube. It's free 24/7. Look up the audio, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. You'll find probably dozens of different videos posted with the exact same audio. It's 30 minutes long. I recommend listening to the 40-minute version at least one time because it gives you some really fascinating historical perspective on Earl Nightingale's life and what impact this audio had on people in the 1950s and 60s. And it's a crucial component of understanding how to program our subconscious mind for anything, absolutely any desire and result that we're looking for. The strangest secret is we become what we think about most of the time. That's the strangest secret. Earl Nightingale, E-A-R-L, Nightingale, Nightingale, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. If you typed in just The Strangest Secret to YouTube, it will pop up by the dozens. So the strangest secret that he's pointing to is we become what we think about most of the time. Now, the challenge that I'm going to give you right now, the homework would be to listen to this audio at least 4 times within a week. At least 4 times within a week. And on that 3rd or 4th time, actually start implementing some of the suggestions and recommendations that he's making in this audio, because the secret of our future is hidden in our daily routine. What we think about most of the time, we become, right? So wherever you're taking notes, whatever you're writing on, please write down 3 things you want to manifest most in life. So go ahead and just take a couple minutes and just, it doesn't have to be set in stone. You can change these later, but what are three things that come to mind that are the most important things that you are looking to manifest in your life sooner than later? So based on those three things, we're going to do a little exercise right now that involves some breath work. I'm going to run us through the breath work, and then we're going to do that breathing for probably only 5 minutes here, but I recommend when you're doing this on your own, I recommend a minimum of 7 minutes, followed up immediately with 2 minutes of visualization. Okay. So you're talking about a 10-minute investment, nine-minute investment on a daily basis. And I'll talk about number one, the breathing technique, and number two, the way to maximize the power of this visualization so that your subconscious mind can easily grasp and comprehend what it is you're looking to create and go out and make those circumstances happen for you. Okay. So heart brain coherence breathing. Anyone heard of heart brain coherence breathing? Okay, so a couple of people familiar with it. Okay. I cannot emphasize enough the immense power of this practice. This is something that, even done for just a few minutes, will release an almost endless, literally over 1,000 different neurochemicals into the body responsible for anti-aging, immune function, digestion, healing, restoration of the body. Every single thing our body needs to do well to maintain health is maximized tremendously, just on a massive scale, with doing just this unbelievably simple practice. And the reason I emphasize it like this is because it's so simple, it's so easy to disregard and not understand and believe that it really truly does have this level of effect and magnitude for our physiology, right? So there's three components. I'll describe the breath work, and then I'll get into the instructions on the visualization. So step one is wherever your physical touch, wherever you're feeling a physical sensation, that is where your attention is going to flow. So we're going to move into our heart space specifically by putting our hands over our heart. Now that can be in a prayer mudra, that can be hand over hand. Let's see if I can show a little bit. That can be just whatever's comfortable, wherever you're bringing sensation to your heart space. Can be one hand, both hands. We're bringing our attention directly into our heart space, okay? And now step two, you are going to slow down your breathing. And I'm certainly going to join you in slowing down my breathing. And you don't necessarily need to count, but if it helps to get you a little bit of a rhythm, maybe 5 counts on the in-breath, 5 counts on the exhale, and just slow that breath down. Eyes open or closed, whichever is most comfortable for you. And in a moment, I'm going to give you one final instruction as you get comfortable with this breathing. But first, for the visualization, when we're done with about 5 minutes of this breathing, I'm going to have you start to visualize the circumstances in your life that you wrote down or typed somewhere that were the 3 top desires that you have, that you're in the process of manifesting into your life right now. You can't do it wrong, But what I want you specifically to do is to visualize yourself in an atmosphere that you're extremely familiar with. It can be a favorite place in nature. It can be your bedroom, your living room, any place that is super easy to recall all the details because it's an absolutely favorite place. Okay? This is for when you're doing that visualization. You want to picture yourself in a place that you're super familiar with because your subconscious mind, as you introduce those variables that you're in the process of manifesting, as you visualize the relationship, the finances, the dynamic health, in whatever way you start to visualize those things coming into your life, your subconscious mind is automatically going to start to be able to make those as real as it already knows those surroundings are. So what you're already super familiar with, you're merging with what you are in the process of manifesting, right? So that's for the visualization part. So just put that on the shelf for the moment and just come back to your breathing. The reason we slow the breath down like this is because the only time our physiology is going to engage in breathing this slow is when we feel incredibly safe and calm and confident that we are fully secure in our surrounding. So we can slow that breath down, which is part of what triggers going from the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight response of stress and cortisol creation, to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is, like I said before, introducing these 1,000+ neurochemicals that are restoring the body and healing and inducing immune function and anti-aging chemicals. So go ahead and enjoy that slow breath for a while. And very specifically, as you're getting deeper into that slow breath, I would like you to start to generate the feeling place and the actual emotional experience of these 4 emotions, or any combination, one or more. They are care for anyone or anything, appreciation for anyone or anything or multiple things, gratitude, and compassion. These 4 elements are the most powerful vibrations that we can introduce to our physiology and even to our surroundings to empower our body's ability to thrive on all cylinders. Care, appreciation, gratitude, and compassion. This is actually establishing communication between our brain and what are called sensory neurites that are actually physiologically in the heart. They function just like our neurons of the brain. This is establishing communication between the heart and the brain as we are doing this. Go ahead and enjoy that for a few minutes, and then we'll switch to visualization here in just a few moments. Okay, now go ahead and switch into your visualization. Return to that place that is super familiar, one of your favorite places to be. Take in all the details, all the colors, the smells. And when you're there, introduce in whatever way you would like. There's no wrong way to do it. What are those things that you wrote down flowing into your life, seeing the reality already there, already done? I oftentimes find myself floating through the air when I'm visualizing these various aspects coming into my life. People, experiences, feelings, finances, health, every aspect. Create your own picture. It can be all at once. You can rotate back and forth. You are literally instructing your subconscious mind, which is 95% of your brain power, to attract the exact circumstances that will best bring about these aspects into your life. And this is why it's so important to remember that your only job is to specify what you want and to focus on that most of the time. We become what we think about most of the time. The how is not your job. The how of those things coming about in your life is not your job. The universe will take care of that. Your subconscious mind will take care of that. Your only job is clarity and consistent focus. So you can return to this special place anytime. And I recommend this format at a minimum of 9 minutes. I love the number 9 because it symbolizes completion. So we can say that we're bringing your past self and your current circumstances or anything that may want to fall away in exchange for what you're manifesting. We're bringing those things to completion and stepping into what is possible. So for 7 minutes, you can activate all the healing aspects that our bodies could ever need, turning on that parasympathetic nervous system. And then for just 2 minutes, just 2 minutes to feed and nourish your vision, your dreams, your greatest desires, and give that subconscious mind the instructions of what to go out and get, what to go out and create. Okay. Take another 30 seconds or so. Come on back. And we're going to go over the aspects of one of my favorite practices, the abundance gratitude walk. Take another couple deep breaths. Come on back, wiggle those toes. So again, 9 or 10 minute practice on a daily basis. So powerful, that compound effect, as is the daily practice of the abundance gratitude walk. And this can also be done in as little as 10 minutes, preferably 20 to 30 if you have it, if you can be leisurely about it, but can literally be done in the compound effect results generated within just about 10 minutes. So the abundance gratitude walk is outside. It can literally be anywhere. It can be walking around your block. If you're lucky enough to have a park nearby or get to the beach or a forest, more power to you. The more high vibrational experience you'll have, the more nature we can be around, obviously. Excuse me. So the first component of the abundance gratitude walk is simply just marveling over the magnificence of nature, whether it's a tree, a flower, a field, literally getting into that place of awe, literally awe-inspired gratitude for the majesty of nature. Nature is always providing to us an example of tremendous abundance. We can look at a tree and truly be awestruck at the level of abundance that it is demonstrating at all times. And one of my favorite pieces about getting into nature is remembering that everything we perceive in our outside world is simply just a reflection of what is inside of us, of who and what we are. So we are literally watching and looking at and marveling at the creation and the majesty and the abundance that we are, that we consist of. So getting into that place of inspiration and awe in terms of the example that nature is patiently setting for us at all times. Wayne Dyer used to say, abundance is not something that we acquire or achieve. Abundance is a vibration that we tap into. And so the beginning of the abundance gratitude walk is literally just getting into that feeling place and that vibration of becoming one with that abundance and the example of abundance that nature is for us. And so the rest of the abundance gratitude walk, that one component can be as little as 2 or 3 minutes. I prefer 10 or 15, whatever your schedule allows. And then based on those top desires that you are in the process of manifesting into your life, create in advance 2, but no more than 3 different affirmations that are the present tense, simple, first person statements of those variables already being in your life. I have, I am, whatever it may be. Simple, short, to the point. And you're going to work with those exact same affirmations every single day. Every single day. We become what we think about most of the time. And when you listen to The Strangest Secret, it'll start to click how important that consistency is. And being super clear with repetition over and over again, instructing the subconscious mind of what we are instructing it to go out and create circumstances for. So this breath work, you're literally outside, you're going on your walk, whether it's in your neighborhood or in the forest, wherever you are. You're going to take that affirmation and you're going to couple it with a breathing technique that's very simple. You're going to inhale through the nose in 4 beats. I'm going to do it a little loud so you can hear it, but it's like this. Okay. And on the exhale, you're going to say your affirmation. And you're going to say your affirmation with that rhythm of breath work 10, 15 times. Let's say 15 times at least. And while you're saying that affirmation, you're tapping your fingers to the beat. That's why you generally want it to be short and sweet, but with words that are juicy for you, that have deep, meaningful excitement for you, right? So you're going to tap your fingers to the beat. I have dynamic health. I have dynamic health. That's just a random example of an affirmation. Your specific, 3 affirmations, the same every day. About 15 or so times each, you're activating the kinesthetic response of anchoring in that vibration and the rhythm of that breath work, along with your continual appreciation and enjoyment of nature. So you're literally engaging every sensory neuron possible to anchor in your focus and your creation. I like to finish up the abundance gratitude walk after my 2 or 3 affirmations with just and this is all out loud, by the way. You're saying your affirmation out loud, as I mentioned. But I like to finish it up with a list of maybe 20, 30 things off the top of my head that I'm super grateful for right now in this moment about my life currently. And I always like to then refer back to what I'm in the process of creating and give tremendous gratitude for that coming about in my life and already being in the manifestation phase. Being grateful for those things as if they are already in our lives, right? So I personally consider these types of daily success rituals to be self-love practices, right? That we can choose to participate in every single day. And we're not only affecting ourselves, because quantum physics proves, and we know spiritually, that we are all connected. We are all one. So when we are manifesting greater levels of abundance and possibility in our life, we're also empowering every single other person on the planet to be able to learn to do the same and know that they are capable of doing the same. Right? So the global paradigm shift, I like to call it. What if one of the most impactful things you could do for yourself, everyone in your life, and truly the entire world collective consciousness is to adopt a daily self-love practice? Right? Because how many millions of people are struggling in circumstances of abuse, addiction, panic, frustration, fear, and we can have an impact on every single one of them. And we do have an impact on every single one of them. And we can deliberately send that out, right? So that is the abundance gratitude walk. And so let's go ahead and switch gears just a bit. So mindset, as I mentioned before, everything in life rises and falls on mindset. So in terms of wealth creation, I teach a class called Financial Education and Cryptocurrencies. And a lot of that class is based on mindset, and particularly the financial education that was deliberately left out of our school system, and certainly the conversation through media and our society, defining terms like fiat currency versus sound money, inflation, fractional reserve banking, these things that many people have never even heard, let alone know how to define and what roles they play in our financial world. These aspects are crucial in understanding the significance of what cryptocurrencies are doing in our world right now. And I specifically bring up the terms fiat currency versus sound money. Fiat currency is our paper money. It hasn't been backed by anything of actual value since 1971, at least in this country. And we go into, in the class, we go into the mathematical and historical inevitability that our financial system will fail and has been in free fall fail mode for well over a decade. Well, Bitcoin specifically, the first cryptocurrency as of 2009, is literally the return to sound money. It is the solution to our financial system and our central banking system run amok, and enabling the population, the people, to regain their own empowerment in terms of our finances and our world. Bitcoin is the polar opposite of fiat currency that is 100% manipulatable by people. Bitcoin cannot be changed. You cannot add more Bitcoins to the protocol. It's a set limited supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in circulation ever. So just like gold and silver have been the only things that have qualified for actual money for 5,000 years, the reason being it cannot be manipulated by people. Bitcoin is often referred to as digital gold because it cannot be manipulated. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever. Now you can divide a Bitcoin just like you can divide a dollar with 100 pennies. You can divide one Bitcoin into 100 million what are called Satoshis. So somebody doesn't ever have to buy one whole Bitcoin. You can buy a small fraction of a Bitcoin. In fact, that's mostly how they're purchased, in small pieces. But in addition to Bitcoin, there are thousands of additional cryptocurrencies with different technology use cases and roles that they play in the financial transition to a digital economy. And we are literally witnessing, unbeknownst to most people, the vast majority of people, the largest transfer of wealth in history, moving from the debt-based fiat, what I call modern day slavery monetary system, to a digital economy. And it's not all, unicorns and rainbows when it comes to the digital economy either. But that's why this education is so crucial, to understand how we as individuals can play a role in making sure that we do complete the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, who created Bitcoin out of a response from the unbelievable situation of the 2008 financial crisis, where almost nobody was held accountable for the absurdity that went on in banking and finance. That's why Bitcoin was created. And so Bitcoin in 12 years has become the highest performing asset class in history. Nothing ever in all of history has risen in value as fast and as much percentage wise than Bitcoin has. And that continues to be true, especially over the last year. And it's also, cryptocurrencies in total are the most volatile asset class in history. So being able to participate in this market absolutely requires the proper mindset and understanding of cycles that we've learned from over the last 12 years of how this market performs and what to expect, how to participate safely and very strategically for our ability to maximize this bull market that we have about 8 to 12 months, not even 12. It won't go that long. It maybe 10 months, but probably closer to 8. And so in this financial education and cryptocurrency class, we dive deeply into all of the aspects of that financial education foundation necessary to understand where we're at in history, how we got into the mess we're in right now, and what we can do about it, how we can individually and collectively as a group participate in and take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in history. And at a bare minimum, from this moment, I challenge each and every one of you, please, at a minimum, go to YouTube and watch at least one, if not 2 documentaries. Just search Bitcoin documentary and watch any of them. Just watch a couple of Bitcoin documentaries that were posted within the last year, because cryptocurrencies is such an intensive paradigm shift that takes a while to wrap our minds around. And I say that from experience because I got involved over 4 years ago now, and I remember very vividly, very clearly feeling like a fish out of water for a long time. And I did not have the resources that are available today to describe the significance of this technology and how it can benefit each and every one of you, your families. Intergenerational wealth creation is literally what we're seeing right now. And just to give you a little perspective, 2 pieces of perspective. Number one, I mentioned fiat currency. They can print as many dollars as they want. Okay, they've been real good at that over the last year. You can look this up. This sounds absurd, but you can absolutely look this up, and I encourage you to do so. In the year 2020, the Federal Reserve, our central bank, printed 30% of all the currency that's ever been printed in our nation's history. Let me say that again. In the year 2020 alone, the Federal Reserve printed 30% of all the currency that's ever been printed in our country's history. So every single dollar that's ever been in circulation prior to that is now worth less and less and less and less. And that's the definition of and the cause of inflation. Inflation is often referred to as a hidden tax. because it looks like you still hold $1 in your hand, but it has less than 2% of the purchasing power that it had 40 years ago, right? Now, it took 12 years, roughly, for the entire cryptocurrency market to reach $1 trillion. The entire market cap of gold is about $12 trillion, just to give you a little comparison. All gold, all actual gold, all stocks, mining stocks, paper, certificate gold, many different ways to buy and own gold. The entire market is $12-ish trillion. It took roughly 12 years for cryptocurrencies to reach $1 trillion. Now that's Bitcoin from literally pennies per Bitcoin up to 40 or so $1,000 a coin. In the last month, cryptocurrencies have gone from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. Thanks to people like Elon Musk and Michael Saylor. I highly recommend taking in an interview on YouTube by Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategies. So it took 12 years to reach $1 trillion, and in a month, we added an additional $500 billion. That's because we're in the biggest bull market that cryptocurrencies will ever see. Because the level of institutional adoption that's happening right now is unprecedented and will never happen again. In case you did not see this news clip, a week or two ago, Elon Musk took $1.5 billion from Tesla's treasury and invested it into Bitcoin, because Michael Saylor had done so about 5 months prior with about $500 million of his company's treasury when Bitcoin was only $9,000 a coin. So over the last 5 months, he has essentially looked like a financial genius, to say the least. So this is where we're at in history. And again, almost nobody knows it's happening, let alone how to correctly and properly participate for your own benefit. So let me go ahead and post in the chat here. And I apologize, I haven't been able to follow the chat as much. I'll be glad to open it up for some Q&A for a little bit. But I encourage each of you to, this is a lot, I'm posting an entire invitation, excuse me, an entire invitation, including the entire curriculum that we cover in our class, in this financial education and cryptocurrency class. So I encourage you to copy and paste this post. Let's see. I might need to grab that again in a moment. I encourage you to copy and paste this into your Evernote, wherever you take notes digitally, so that you can review this and take a look and decide for yourself if you want to participate in this class. We're a thriving community now over the last 6 months, and it's amazing to be able to have people at all skill levels to bounce ideas off of and to enjoy and engage in your learning process with. So let me recopy this one moment. There we go. It must be telling me that I'm not allowed to post something that large. I think that's what it is. That's what it is. So, so what I'll do is I'll just put my email address here. And if you would like, just send me an email and say cryptocurrency class, and I will respond with the curriculum for this class. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Note to self. All right. No huge chats allowed in Zoom. Okay. All right. So any questions? We covered so much, especially in the last 10 minutes or so. Yeah, Michelle.
Hey, thank you so much for that, Seth. That was so nice. I got so nice and relaxed, and you're like a professor of hypnotism or something. I don't know, but I love listening to you, and you explain things so clearly, right? So about your class, is it interactive online like this and certain times, or is it recorded?
Both. Good question. So we do 2 classes a month live on Zoom. And immediately when you register, you will get a recorded link to our last class. So the sooner, because who knows when on the calendar our next class will be. We actually happen to have one tomorrow evening, the 17th, and but you will be able to take the class immediately, which I highly recommend people do, because when you are at the live class, which you then have open access to all the future live classes, if you've already seen the class once, you're going to get so much more out of the live class because there's so much information there. The class is designed for people that are 100% beginners. And yet a lot of people who have been involved with crypto for a while enjoy it and get a lot out of it as well, particularly because one of the biggest benefits of the class is several things. Number one, I'm able to share more in detail the perspective and what I personally learned participating in this market for the last 4.5 years. And so taking on my experience and understanding for what kind of percentage gains we're really talking about here, what to expect in terms of market volatility. But sometimes, and for a lot of people, most importantly, I'm personally working with multiple professional traders who are guiding groups of people that I pay for to be involved in their group for navigating the market to maximize this next 8 months for the greatest return on investment. So I'm getting my information from multiple different sources. One particular trader who's got about 15 years experience successfully trading the Forex market and precious metals markets. And he has enabled us to do incredibly well over the 8 months or so that I've been working with him, not that long, maybe a little over 6 months. And so we're getting our information from so many different sources so that we can not only maximize this bull market, but most importantly, know when to exit and have an exit strategy. So it's really helping people not only crush the learning curve down to almost nothing, but know how to participate safely and get the most out of this that's possible over the next 8 months or so.
Hey, Seth, I got a question for you.
Please.
Is this compared to like Robinhood, like that Robinhood site?
Good questions. Robinhood and PayPal have enabled the purchase of cryptocurrencies. And I'll go over in the class why that is not advisable to go through either Robinhood or PayPal to purchase your cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, because right now
And I can't, go ahead.
I've got a couple $100 in there right now on Robinhood, and the BNGO stock, which is a bio nano genomics, has been shooting up. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm was interested in knowing.
Yeah, Robinhood's a tool for trading stocks and cryptos. What we teach in this class is specifically how to hold your own crypto. Essentially, Robinhood is holding your crypto for you.
Gotcha.
So you don't have that much control over it. You cannot take the crypto in there and trade it to another coin.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it's very, very limited. And the whole revolution in money and banking that cryptocurrency is often referred to as is specifically being able to become your own bank. So we're literally, that's part of why this paradigm shift is so significant, because you no longer need an intermediary. You are your own bank. You hold your own funds. And it's very easy to learn how to do that effectively and safely, but it is a process, and it does involve a learning curve, right?
I'm excited. Thanks,
Awesome.
Moon, for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for spreading the word. Absolutely. Yeah, any other questions I can answer?
Oh, I have another question.
Mhm.
My cash really is no good, basically, is what you said. It's like 2% now or whatever. So it would behoove me to take the savings that I have and invest it in something. However, as it starts to make money, am I allowed to use that currency, or do I have to wait a certain amount of time?
You do not have to wait a certain amount of time. It's 100% fluid, so you can move it in and out of the market whenever you want. The number one rule of investing, whether it's cryptocurrency or any other type of investing, never invest more than you can afford to lose. So I love the fact that you said, move my savings into something that is going to work for you. That's exactly the mindset shift. That's exactly the mindset shift of becoming an investor, because literally you holding cash, you're losing money every single second of every day. You're losing purchasing power. Versus in March of last year, when everything crashed, COVID crashed, every single asset class went through the floorboards. Bitcoin was down at about $3,500 a coin. Fast forward almost a year later, Bitcoin's at $50,000 a coin. And most analysts are forecasting that by the end of this bull market, because of the rate of adoption, we're going to see Bitcoin easily far surpass $150,000 a coin. Citibank actually came out and made a public prediction that they see the likelihood of Bitcoin by the end of 2021 reaching $300,000 per coin.
Yeah,
And those numbers sound
I've been
absurd, sound ridiculous, but it's absolutely possible. Go ahead.
yeah, I've been seeing that on my on that Robinhood thing, just watching it. It's kind of been hovering at 49, and
Mhm.
it's yeah. I wish I would have gotten in on that, a few years ago when I was told to.
So here's the interesting thing to recognize, that there are other coins, there are other technologies that are going to return far greater percentages than Bitcoin will over this bull market. Litecoin, Digibyte, Ethereum, Polkadot, all of these we go into not detailed depth in terms of the technology, but the people that we're following are giving us guidelines and recommendations. It's always just a recommendation because of their expertise in chart analysis, where to have a percentage of our diversified funds. Diversification is imperative. But these 5 to 8 coins are likely to do the absolute best over the next 6 weeks, for example. And that's why we're in those coins, right? So I saw Julie's hand go up. Was that a question that you had? Please.
Steph, hi, I'm calling from Australia. My son was into Bitcoin. I'm not sure which one he was into, but he suggested, had a brilliant idea, and I took some of my super out. We went into a Bitcoin, my self-managed super fund. Didn't make any money, but I watched him and the complexity of how to read it all. It was just like a huge learning curve for him. So it sort of put me off. We pulled all our money out beforehand and got out of my super fund. But that's where you can go as well. You can actually use your super fund here in Australia. So it was exciting there for a while, but he didn't really know, he didn't really have a lot of advice. So we didn't really know the next move in a way, but he was brilliant and he did great, for a young 22-year-old. So, but we pulled out and I didn't lose any money. But for me, it puts me off just having to read when to get in, when to get out, because it's extremely complex. So, so I don't know how you make that simple. And and another thing, your course, how much is it and how long does it go for? And I do have a bit of savings. I can play as long as it's easy. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Julie. Thank you so much for that. Pardon me 1 second.
You're right. You just got COVID. It's okay. You'll get through it. Just have some more vitamin D.
Amen. Amen to that. I love it. I love it. So, such a good point, Julie. So, let me put it this way. The first time you tied your shoes, it looked really complicated. And this is so similar because it's very overwhelming because there's so many moving parts and jargon and numbers and percentages. 90% of that, you don't have to know anything about. You don't have to understand the technology, the chart reading, none of that. This class, at the end of this class, which generally is about a 3-hour class all at once in one evening, you will have every resource and mindset preparation necessary to get into the market and feel confident that you're doing it correctly and that you have all the tools you need and the community when you have questions to bring to the group and get some help. The first few times you move cryptocurrency around, it's nerve-wracking, just like the first time you rode a bike. But it is incredibly simple. It's incredibly simple. So it just takes some practice, and it's one of those things where in 5 years, we're all going to be doing it, whether we like it or not. And so it's just, we are unfortunately headed towards a cashless society. And there's some pluses and negatives about that. But that's all the more important to be participating in the quote unquote people's money, which is what Bitcoin and some of these other cryptocurrencies are. And so to answer your question, and there's multiple I'll get to, it does become very simple because you're getting trade calls every so often that are, number one, optional. And a lot of people are just long-term investors. They just want to be in the 5 or 6 coins that are likely to do the best, and they just want to leave it there. Maybe they'll move it around here and there, but maybe not. Right? And that is a perfectly viable, phenomenal strategy. We differentiate between benchmark coins and high velocity coins for your own risk tolerance. So it's customized perfectly for wherever your level of participation. So number 2, the cost of the course is a sliding scale. So it's $150 to $300 whatever is most comfortable for you. I always recommend that people invest in your own financial education at a level that is significant for you. And what I mean by significant, what's going to make a big enough impact where you're making a commitment to where in the future, when you're being called to act in spite of fear, you will follow through with it because you've already made the decision in advance. The number one most important success principle there is act in spite of fear. Take action in spite of fear. And we're all going to go through it. We're all going to have it. It is going to be outside of your comfort zone. And on the other side of that fear is everything we're looking for, everything we want. And it doesn't hurt a bit. It doesn't actually hurt a bit. I love the term paper tiger, right? There's nothing actually there. So, but I want to make this education available for anybody who is wanting it. So that's why I make it a sliding scale, $150 to $300. And you are then able to come to any and all classes that we have in the future, and we'll get all the correspondence in our groups. We meet on Telegram, and one of our primary traders, our main primary trader, is actually in Australia as well. So there's a lot of people in that group that I interact with a lot that are coming from Australia. So they're doing exactly the same thing that you just talked about, moving retirement funds into cryptocurrency multiple different ways. So yeah, it's global. It's absolutely global.
And so,
go ahead.
And so would you be sort of coaching? Because I know my son he had a few people like you do that coach through. So you sort of probably pay them a certain amount as you go. Is that correct? So that they can, so that they've got incentive to give you a good tip off. So where everything's going. So are you one of those coaches, or you seek your own coaching and then you may, impart that knowledge? Is that right?
Everything you need will be available in the class and for your replay. Okay. And if you have questions, from what I've seen, it's an incredibly supportive community that we've built over the last 6 months. Generally, questions get answered and people are available to help all the time. And questions just get easily answered. If you want to get some additional coaching, then I'm available, by the hour for specific aspects, but mostly nobody needs it. Nobody needs it because you're getting all the information you need via the trade calls and with the groups that we already have formed. We're on Telegram. So
I'm most curious. It'll be interesting. It's just a matter of time, just how many more things I can take on, because everything's happening at such a big speed at the moment. I'm sure everybody can relate to that, because this evolution thing is happening very fast and some of us are getting on board and there's a lot going on. So, but yeah, this
Absolutely.
is most interesting. So we all have to do it at some point. May as well get on board now and enjoy success, a bit of financial success.
Thanks, Julie. I'm just gonna jump in here, Seth, if I may. That's kind of like one of the reasons why we've developed Quantum Elite Community. So to gather all these amazing heart-minded, gifted individuals such as Seth, who's an expert in certain areas. But the beautiful part with being with Seth is that he has all that wonderful mindset, expertise and guidance, for a lot of people. Because if you're going to get into any kind of financial, really learning how to make your money work for yourself, I mean, you really have to be in alignment with your own bodies, as you very well know, Julie, another by the way, very gifted young woman. And so one of the things that the opportunity that you have here with Quantum Elite Community and Noble Goldman is that Seth will be one of our facilitators, and he will have some basic modules, I believe, in his funnel. But if you want extra, Obviously, Seth is absolutely, you are welcome to his other classes and what he's providing, because I've been in the cryptocurrency space for over 4 years as well. And it is, I didn't understand it at the time. I just knew that it was going to change the world because our centralized system is corrupt. It is fixed. It is completely works against the average person. And unless you know how that game works, you are never going to win, ever. So this is truly empowering to see that we have a decentralized system that's coming into play with a lot of moving pieces that does get very confusing. And I have attended one of Seth's classes. I was blown away by his knowledge. I wish I'd known that back then, because then I wouldn't have made all the mistakes that I made. And it was a very expensive learning curve. Let's just go with that. Just exactly what you were saying, Julie. So yeah, I'm super excited to have Seth on board here with us at Quantum Elite Community and Noble Goldman. If for those of you who are interested, this is obviously all of our classes are free to attend. And there's other opportunities in there too. This is a personal development platform, and we are so grateful to have Seth to be the expert for us to lead this into this new paradigm of cryptocurrencies. I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Seth, for being here today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely wonderful group.